Brett, college football expansion it can't be done. It can't be done. As long as money exists, expansion will be there. But what is next, and what do you make of everything the last 2 years have brought us?
Yeah, well, the last 2 years, I guess this chunk of realignment was actually started by Texas and Oklahoma heading over to the SEC. And at that time, I was still kind of shocked by it because it was the first 16-team league. But I did understand they were still at least geographical borders. You could kind of argue that a little bit. And you could argue that they were two blue bloods heading to, the strongest conference in college football. So that one I was, coming to terms with. The USC, UCLA to the Big Ten, that's where it really got out of control. That's where all the historical patterns were thrown away. That was going to be geography's off the table. Now we're just doing TV. We're doing TV money. Burn down the rivalries, burn down the history. So that one really started this next wave. And, I'm old fashioned with it. I love the regionality of the sport. I love having that West Coast conference to watch, see those teams compete against each other. I love the in-state rivalries, the regionality. So a lot of that's going away, which is a shame. Now, I do think there are some silver linings. I think especially I'm excited about this Big 12, this Big 16, whatever you want to call it. I think that there's a lot of promise there. I'm not just saying it because I'm on your show. I tweeted about it. I think there's a lot of promise there. Bringing Utah in, who's surging as a program right now, very passionate fan base, back with BYU, back with TCU, their old rivals. The Arizonas, I know they're not a border state, but if you look at a map, I mean, they're kind of bordering there. That'll be your Western Front. And Colorado, I mean, they were a Big 8 member way back in the day in Big 12. Yeah. So I'm excited about the Big 12's moves. I think they did a good job. And to all the people nationally that were saying how the Big 12 should fold, there's no future there. The whole way through, I was saying, look at their fan bases, look at their stadiums. They're very passionate. They might not draw the national TV money, but they're filling their stadiums, unlike the Pac-12, unlike the ACC. They're packed stadiums. I see them every day on Twitter. Very, very passionate fan bases. So I was buying in long-term on the Big 12. I'm glad they doubled down and expanded. So, I'm excited for that move. The Big 10, I'm not as excited about. I don't want to see USC playing Rutgers it's just going to be bizarre. But the Big 16, I like it.
Feels right. It feels like these 16 teams in some way make sense. Whereas you're right, Rutgers and USC is not going to be appointment television. But Brett, turning the attention to the ACC and Florida State and Clemson and Miami and grant of rights and everybody, all these buzzwords that have been thrown out the last month or so. What do you make of what's going on in the ACC? And do we see an NC State in the Big 12 in 2030?
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, I'll preface by saying it's not really my area of strength, the TV money. I never really viewed college football from that lens. I'll be honest. I'm not in the TV marketing world or the executives making these decisions. I love the football on the field product. So that's why every time realignment came up, I was always saying, hey, put Boise in the Pac-12.
Yeah.
Put them in there, and everyone comes back with, oh, look at the TV numbers, blah, blah, blah. So I look at it football first. So the way the football stands, I'd like to keep it how it is. I think that Florida State and Clemson belong out in the ACC. It is tough that they signed such a long-term deal. It seems they're stuck into that lower TV deal. And if you're Clemson or Florida State, you could probably argue you're worth more than that. So we'll see. Those are probably the two next dominoes. I'm still watching the Pac-4, the four teams remaining out there. It's a shame what happened to those four. Stanford and Cal, historically, they have the academics and all the Olympic sports, those championships. So I think they'd be primed to be picked up by somebody. If not, maybe go independent. I don't see them going to the Mountain West. I just don't think they would do that. Oregon State and Washington State, everything's on the table there. So the next dominoes are probably what's going to happen with that Pac-4. Is the Pac-4 going to double down and try and bring in Boise, Fresno, San Diego State, Wyoming, all those, or do those four get scattered across the map? So, I'm sure it'll heat up soon. It's never ending, but we'll see.
No, it never is, and it's just wild. Like taking in the last 2 minutes that you said. How many teams you mentioned, how many conferences you mentioned. It's taken over all of college football coast to coast. And it'll give opportunities, hopefully, for Wyoming and Boise to move up. But at the same time, it's going to kill an Oregon State or a Washington State, which I don't know. I guess it's for us talking heads to speculate on for the rest of time. But Brett, I really appreciate the work that you do in college football. And it's hard, tough work, right? There's me and Big Game Boomer and those guys putting out polls and brackets and rankings and stuff. But what you're doing is truly well researched. And I don't think, frankly, I know nobody does college football preview better than you do. Where can listeners find you online and purchase the best magazine in college football?
Wow. Yeah. I appreciate the praise, Drake. Again, thanks for having me on, and don't sell yourself short, man. You're doing great. I mean, I know how hard it is to build up a podcast, build up a brand. So keep it going, man. Like I said, I see you all over Twitter. Do a great job. So keep that going for 2023. Pick6previews.com is the only place you can find the book. And on there you have a couple sample teams, testimonials from the College Game Day guys. We do have the hard copy edition still shipping out. And the good thing is if you buy the hard copy, you get the digital PDF emailed immediately too. So for those 2 or 3 days it's in transit with USPS, you get your access to the copy right away. So hard copy, digital, all there on the site, and then follow at Pick6 Previews for all season content.
Perfect. Brett, thanks so much for joining the show today. I have loved this show, the first 2 weeks of this show, and can promise listeners out there that since you all make Locked On Big 12 your first listen every single day, I will continue to bring on engaging and unbelievable guests like Brett. And we got even more coming up this week. Stick around for it. We'll see you on Tuesday. This has been, and it always will be, Locked On. Thanks for making it your first listen every single day. Big 12.